Rentals are of two types, so-called over-the-counter, in which a customer walks in, requests something, and if you have it available, the customer takes it with him. We call this a walk-in rental. The other type of rental starts with a reservation. The actual rental may be scheduled for any time in the future, from a couple of hours to a couple of days to several months. For this demo, we'll see how to do an over-the-counter rental. Click the Walk-in Rentals button. The customer can already be in your list of customers, or you can add him anew. We'll pick an existing customer. If you think of your rentals in terms of an event or a job, use the Job Event field to identify this rental with a name that will make it easier to find in the future. The next step is to identify the duration of a rental. Because you're doing an over-the-counter rental, the start date and time default to the current date and time. So you only have to identify either the ending date and time or the number of units. For example, if this is a 3-day rental, we would type a 3 and check days in the duration field, and RentControl would automatically adjust the ending date to be 3 days from today. Your alternative, of course, would be to actually use the calendar button in the rental end date area to set your own end date and time. RentControl allows you to record the customer's creditworthiness and method of payment. If he is paying in advance, click the Prepaid radio button. If you expect to bill the customer, indicate his payment terms. In the credit authorization area, indicate whether the customer is known to you and trustworthy, that would be established credit, or whether you will take a credit card to ensure that the rented items will be returned. If you pick the credit card radio button, you'll have the opportunity to record the details of the card. Finally, identify the items the customer wants to rent. Click the Equipment button. RentControl asks you to group your inventory into categories and types. These are arbitrary names. A category is simply a gross description of your rental item. For example, in a general rental store, as in this example, we have categories of concrete equipment, lawn and garden, etc. If you rent party supplies, you might have categories of catering equipment, flatware, tablecloths, and so forth. A type is a specific kind of item in the category. For example, in the category concrete equipment, we have types like concrete mixer, bull float, etc. For party rental, the category flatware might have types of stainless and silver plate. When you define a type in RentControl, you also define the prices you will charge for various periods of time, whether there are substitutes in your own inventory if something isn't available. In the case of machinery, whether you also add charges for metering or mileage, and much other information crucial to the rental. By being able to define a lot of critical information ahead of time, constructing the actual rental is quick and easy since all pertinent details automatically transfer. But even though you define many pertinent things like prices in advance, you can always change things if you need to. Also, your inventory can consist of serial items, which means each item is separately identified by an asset number and either a manufacturer's serial number or a barcode. Or you can have pooled items, which are not separately identified and tracked. Typically, pooled items are items of little value and indistinguishable from one another. For example, a party rental operation might pool its cutlery, because they wouldn't care which knife they sent someone, only that they sent an adequate number. A hardware store might pool certain kinds of small tools, like tile nippers, concrete floats, power cords, and so forth. One additional point: RentControl can represent multiple warehouses if you have them. This means you can restrict rentals to items only from a particular warehouse or let people rent from all of them. We'll start by picking the category construction equipment and the type of scaffold. This is a pooled asset. Because it's a pooled asset, RentControl only asks us how many of these to attach to the order. Let's pick another piece of equipment from this same category. This time it'll be a chisel. This chisel is a serial asset, and even though there's only one of them in inventory, we still have to check it off, because when you have serial assets, information about that asset is tracked separately from all others, which means you have to tell RentControl which one is going with the order. Your inventory can also contain sale items. You can sell these items separate from a rental, or they can be items that relate to things being rented and are thus sold with the rental. For example, if you rented a sander, you might also sell sandpaper. Let's sell a pair of safety glasses with this rental. To add sale items to the rental, you click the Sales button. And as you did with rental items, you find the category and type that holds the sale item. In this case, we're going to add clear safety glasses. This is a pooled item, so we indicate how many go with the rental. If you wish to take some or all of the cost of a rental as a prepayment, you first click the Price button to set the pricing for this rental. You can use this pricing screen to make changes to the pricing. For example, you could discount the rental or discount sale items. You could add labor charges. You can even change the tax you're charging if that makes sense. When the pricing is satisfactory, you click the prepayment button on the main instant rental screen and record the amount of money you're taking from the customer as well as the source of the payment. We'll take a portion of the full amount in cash and click Save. Back at the main instant rental screen, the View button lets you view the items on the rental, and as the legend on the screen notes, you can click an item to remove it from the rental, or you can right-click an item to change the price being charged. For example, we can change the price of our safety glasses to give the client a slight discount. There are a variety of documents connected with any rental. Click the Print button. The contract is the most commonly needed document. RentControl supports a variety of different formats for contracts. Some variations of the contract permit you to create graphic banners for the top and the bottom of the contract. The top banner typically contains your name and address along with a logo. The bottom typically and briefly spells out your rental conditions and often provides a place for the customer to sign. To complete the rental, you simply click Deliver. You've now created an active rental. Consult the other tutorials in the series for how to return a rental and check in its assets, as well as for other topics of interest.